All right, day three. Um, gonna do some arms today. I used to do like a 3 day on, 1 day off, so like push pull legs and then recovery. But I feel like I can optimize that a little better and train every day, but just spread out the workouts a little more. So I'll be doing something like push, pull, legs, arms, uh, maybe shoulders another day, but or I feel like arms and shoulders. I don't know because I really want to improve my shoulder density, especially like the front delt. I've seen some good growth in that, but I can do more to bring out my chest. So we're gonna see what we can do about that today. A little bit of shoulder and arm action. Yeah. I was on the push pull legs and then recovery day thing for a good year, and it worked for the most part. It's a really good default, like, especially if you're first starting out. 3 days on, 1 day break. Not a bad way to go. Or even if you're splitting that like in a week, 3 days during the week, you have your like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday lift. You do Monday push day, Wednesday pull day, and then leg day on Friday or Saturday. I don't know. I know that's something a little more conventional, first, especially for the person that's not like they're just trying to be healthy. I don't think you need more than like 3 or 4 days if you're just trying to be healthy at the gym. If you're trying to compete in something, I think that's when it gets closer to like 5 to 6 days a week. But recovery days are pretty important. You can't ignore them, right? So you got to make sure you're recovering. If I'm being honest, for me, it's really easy to train. Like, I love going to the gym. I love lifting the weights. I love that pump. I love chasing that pump. I love eating. So, like, finding the right foods and stuff like that, also not that hard. My biggest issues are, like, having consistent sleep and then also avoiding sugar, man. I love me a sweet thing. You know what I mean? I love me some ice cream, some cookies. I eat all day. All day. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna crush this and then head to the gym, and I'll see you guys on that side after my warm ups. All right, so I just wanted to show myself jumping rope as well. This is what I do before my warm up, along with the bike, or before my workout, along with the bike and 10 minutes of stretching, doing dynamic stretches. If you look at my feet here, you'll notice that I'm putting a little more, like bouncing more on my right leg than my left. My left leg's a little more stiff. I noticed that today, and I thought that was a cool thing to notice. I've been working on this on like jumping rope since September of last year. Um, I've always wanted to learn how, watching the Rocky movies growing up and stuff like that. It's just, I thought it was cool, so picked up a new trick, I guess. But yeah, I always thought like the right side was the issue, but no, apparently it's the left. The more you know. So then I learned how to do a couple things here and there. I learned also that falling or keeping beat with your feet is a little easier, or yeah, I guess a little easier to do than trying to keep beat with the jump rope. I don't know. There's some tips and tricks to it. I just kind of watched other people do it and copied until I figured it out on my own. I'm still trying to jumping rope at 220 pounds is a little um, more difficult than you would think, but we're getting there. I'm enjoying the process with that. Um, yeah, that's just I guess a little show off of how far I've gotten with jumping rope, but there's still a lot to improve on, especially between changing pace and going for longer periods of time beyond like 15 minutes, 18 minutes. Anyways, moving over to the warm up for lifting. So I decided today's going to be like shoulder day. Um, things started moving pretty well, especially with rear delt flies. Today was the first day where I truly felt the squeeze on my rear delt. So I spammed, I think I did like 4 or 5 sets of these. It was great. Started at 25 pounds, move up to 85 pounds. Yeah. I realized that I had been trying to activate my traps whenever I was going into rear delt. Like at that full extension, I would activate my traps instead of my rear deltoid. And while that would also kind of explain the imbalance that you see a little bit here. You'll probably see it later, but I'll point it out in the posing video if I can. But yeah, great, great day for learning how to move a little better. Just another video of warming up on the trap. Sorry, not trap, rear delt fly. And I moved up here. Here's the 85-pound version of that. Still maintaining that squeeze as always. You see how my left arm is going a little lower with my elbow than my right arm. I want to fix that. But I'm getting that squeeze on my rear delt is feeling really good here. Really enjoying the process of learning, even this far into being in the gym, 11 years, and learning little things like this that just feel right, But anyways, moving over to T-bar, like pull up. I'm not sure. Barbell up row. I don't know what the name for this is, but raising the bar up to my clavicle, my collarbone. For here, my focus is keeping that bar in a vertical path, or in a straight path up and down. So I'm squeezing my using my core to maintain stability while squeezing my back in order to maintain stability as well. And then trying to bring the bar in a straight vertical path up to my chin and down. Or not chin, but collar, like I said earlier. This is a pretty good warm-up as well. It really gets the middle cap of your shoulders going. Remember, in your shoulders there are 3 caps, and that helps with the middle cap. Now that I've got my rear cap, my rear deltoid, and then middle delt, and then now that I have those 2 set up, I'm moving on to front press. My front delt on my right arm has always been a little weaker. I think it's due to having played tennis, and I think I developed a little bit of tennis shoulder because I would throw my arm out every time I try to serve. It was probably bad practice, but anyways, that caused a little bit of imbalance and pain whenever I would try to use my front right deltoid. So I'm working on that here. That's why I did so much warm up on the last 2 so that it can support the movement while I'm focusing on that front delt. I did 3 sets of this with 2 drop sets every time. Started with like a plate and 45 and 25 on one side, on both sides, and then dropping it to a 45 and then dropping it down to a 25. Squeezing on every rep. But this felt amazing. I had never felt that sort of connection on the front delt on either arm before. Using that to push felt really good. I didn't really start hitting my shoulders as actively as I should have been for the majority of my time in the gym. I've always had broad shoulders, and that's just, I guess, genetics or whatever, but I never actively did them properly. The form was never there, right? So now that I'm dialing it in a little more, I'm seeing where the improvements in form can be made, and also just relying on the other parts when I'm focusing on a part that is a little more injured or a little more imbalanced in comparison to the rest. Similar to what I've been doing with hamstrings, like I said yesterday in my previous vlog. But yeah, this is by far when I'm I'm not gonna say one of my favorites. It's an uncomfortable movement for me, but you know, if you stay in comfort all the time, you're never gonna grow. Or that's what they say. I don't know who says that, but yeah. I'm just chasing the pup, man. Anyways, okay. So second set of this, and it's looking pretty good. I went a little wider with the hands just because I felt like after I got that stability on the first set of that weight, I hadn't hit that weight in a long time. So knowing that I can hit the weight properly for more than 1 or 2 reps helped. So I went a little wider in the grip in order to get a bigger pump and more stretch when I'm at that bottom of the hold. I'll explain that a little more once I'm done with flipping over the weights. But yeah, taking it down to, I think, 25 here. I think for the last set, this is the last set, I'm pretty sure. I took it down straight from a plate 25 to 25 and just squeezed out a few more reps on the 25 pound. But as you see here on the wide grip, which is just a little more than shoulder width, I'm going for that deep stretch at the bottom. That stretch is what helps build the front delt really well. That stretch coming down and pushing up, maintaining that squeeze on the front delt is extremely important here. And if you don't do that, it's just going to become like a center delt and then rear delt exercise, which is not what you're trying to do in this position. But moved pretty well. From here, I went on to shoulder flies. I've been doing a lot more. I've been spamming shoulder flies for the better part of a year now, and I've just recently noticed. Well, I always knew because of the front delt issue that I was explaining earlier with a little bit of imbalance. I always knew that my right side, I'm not able to flare the elbow in the same way that I am on the left side. So you'll see that here where the left side maintains that circular motion because the elbow is stable the entire way. But then the right side, you'll see the form break down a little more. It causes more activation on the rear delt and center delt than I would like. Oh, I noticed this person saying hi. That's fun. Uh, but that movement just wasn't feeling the best. So I switched over to single arm to try and activate it a little better. Here you can see how I'm getting that full range of motion on the left while focusing on the elbow rather than the wrist. Again, the wrist is just holding the weight. It's not moving the weight, right? What's moving the weight is the elbow to shoulder connection. So I've always felt really good on shoulder activation on the left arm. So I start on the left arm to set the base of what it should look like, and then I moved on to the right arm. I think here I had to move the weight out of the way. But I try to do that rotation at the beginning that you just saw, where I rotate the wrist out and then bring the shoulder up to try and see if I can activate it a little better on the right arm. As you can see, the wrist does a little more movement here, which I'm not really fond of, but I think it's to make up for that imbalance. And that's why I'm doing the single arm in order to focus that a little more. I get pretty annoyed about it, as you can see. But, just rep it out as much as possible. I think I was doing 25 pounds earlier, and I switched to a lower weight. I think I switched to like 10 pounds here to just better get the movement right rather than trying to focus the weight or move weight that I can't move in the right form. So I redo it on the left arm so I don't cause even more imbalance. But yeah. Honestly, my forearms look so good here. I'm loving it. My forearm development I mean, like from deadlifting and all that, and just in general, like tennis and whatnot. I'm so thankful for my forearms having grown the way they have. Um, Having good, strong forearms, having good, strong calves, while they may not be as like essential to movement, um, as you would have like your quads or hamstrings or back or chest, it just makes the aesthetic of your body, the symmetry, look so much better. Like when I see huge, massive biceps, but then underdeveloped forearms, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you want that proportion to be out of place? You wouldn't want like half of your arm to be weak while the other half to be strong, right? So, anywho, that's just my biased, probably wrong opinion. So don't do your thing off of what I'm doing. um, so in order to get better activation on the single arm rotations, I sat down. I feel like I get a better squeeze and I'm able to contract my core more and use that for a stabilizer when I'm sitting down. So keeping that arm to my side and raising it out to the side, I'm still finding it a little difficult here to maintain full the proper form while going all the way out. But progress is progress, and not every day is going to be perfect on these things. I have to run with what I've been given for the day. So I'm just happy to be able to rep these out. Blessed to be in a gym, on the weekend and be able to do these things on a day-to-day basis, of course. But it still doesn't take away from the frustrations of having done this for so long and then still noticing these little issues. That's that body dysmorphia, teehee. But I mean, you gotta enjoy the process. Um, there's always going to be something that I want to fix, and there's always going to be time to do it. It just takes time to get it done, and prioritizing that can be difficult at times. But sometimes I just don't like doing shoulders, man. That's all it is. I would much rather have a back day, but whatever. You can see it here where I'm flaring the left arm fully, and I'm able to maintain good form while doing so, even on the last few reps. I think I'm going to go back to a few more reps on the right side here just to see if I can get it past that point of uncomfortability on the front delt on the right side, but it's not awful. Honestly, the workout was great up until I started doing flies. Flies have always been a bit of a weak point for me. So just got to keep doing it. Anyways, to the posing. Posing was pretty good. You can see here, it's honestly not bad. The imbalance is not like visually, unless you're like looking at it from a microscope, you're not going to see it too much. But you can see how the left is a little more rounder than the right side. So we just got some work to do. I like this pose a lot. It brings out the caps. You can see the caps on my delts here, and that's progress. And then I tried this nifty little pose here. Never done that one before. I liked how it came out. I'm seeing the rear delts. I'm seeing the traps come in. Seeing some growth. Also, I got a new air fryer. But that's all of it, guys. Had a good day. Gotta put this away and call it a night.